Happy Friday, Infiniteers, and welcome back for a new episode of Toy Box Classics. Last week, I posted a couple of polls on the Posts tab of my YouTube channel to find out which of the upcoming toy boxes in this series you were most excited about. And if you haven't voted there yet, it's not too late. The polls are still open, so if you want to go vote there, you can go to my YouTube channel, click on the Posts tab, and you'll find the two polls that are there. The toy box that has gotten the most votes so far was Gusteau's Kitchen. I'll be doing that one soon, but I'm still tweaking it. So for today, we're going to recreate Medieval Arena, which has gotten the second most votes in my poll so far. This is one of the very first downloadable toy boxes that was made available for Disney Infinity 1.0. This was a toy box that the Disney Infinity team created, and it was available week 1. So as soon as you bought the game, you could go download this toy box. And I remember that a lot of people were excited about it. They had seen the video that Disney produced to showcase it, and the jousting battles that Disney showed looked like a lot of fun. But when people downloaded it, they were disappointed to learn that it was just scenery. There was no jousting game. There wasn't really anything to do in this toy box. It was just an empty arena with some mounts that you could ride, and that was it. Disney had left it up to the players to make up their own jousting battles, and I think some players felt cheated by that. So when I was considering which classic toy boxes to build for this series, I realized that with the Creativitoys available in Disney Infinity 3.0, we could easily update this old toy box and create a proper jousting game. So that's what I did. Also, the original toy box used a weird set of building pieces of different styles. They used some modern-looking fences from the Monsters University playset, along with Cinderella's castle in the background, and some Western-style tents. It was kind of a weird mix of things. So for my recreation, I chose to embrace the medieval theme as much as possible, and I chose building pieces that reflected that theme. So, let me play through this challenge, first of all. And I've got Sully in here, and he has a flintlock that I've equipped him with, and a sword. And over on this end of the jousting arena, we have all kinds of mounts that you can choose from. I tried to drop several of them in here. And let's go ahead and just hop on this little spotted guy. Alright, and then he's going to need somebody to joust against. So let's bring in player 2. For player 2, I'm using the Lone Ranger.
Outlaws beware. Justice will be served.
And we'll come down here and pick out a mount for him. And let's use Sven. I think he'd be a lot of fun. And we don't really have to go down there. The game's going to put us there when we start it. Okay, so to begin the challenge, we just get on the challenge maker. We'll invite others. And here we go. Okay, now I don't have anyone to help me, so I am going to attempt to work both controllers myself to demo this, all right? So let's see how this works. I'm going to try to push the buttons, the control sticks on both controllers forward separately so they ride to each other. And that's how that would work. And you can get off of this if you want. And just have at it. And as soon as one player defeats the other, then the challenge is over. So it is a very simple game, and as you saw in the trailer, that Disney had produced, you can do a lot of different combinations of things. You don't have to ride just mounts. You could ride hoverboards. You could fly at each other with jetpacks. You can use all kinds of things under the Packs and Tools menu to equip weapons and things for yourselves. So you have all kinds of options and you can have lots of fun. But at least you have a proper game that'll keep track of which player wins and that sort of thing. So I think that's important. But that's my recreation of Medieval Arena. Now I'll show you how to build it, and I will do this in one episode because this toy box is very easy to make. If you don't want to stick around for that, that's fine, but I would appreciate it if you would leave a comment before you go to let me know what you think of my version of Medieval Arena. I know it's pretty simple, but at least you have a proper challenge in here now. Okay, on with the build. Okay, once again, we are starting in an empty toy box, and the first thing we want to do is set the sky. And I believe in the original toy box, they used the Dragon's Flight Sky from 1.0, but I'm going to use, under 3.0, the Evergreen Woodland Sky from Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, and then we'll go ahead and delete that. And I just like that. It's a good medieval theme. And you want to find the castle. I've got a few pieces over here I placed ahead of time. I'll get to those in a minute. But you want to find the castle, because this is going to be how I oriented my toy box. I'm going to put a castle on either end. So you do not want that on either end, okay? So the arena is going to go this direction with that vista off to the side. Okay, so now that we know that, let's put down another piece of terrain here. This is going to be for the jousting arena. And for the texture on this, we are going to use the Colby Desert landscape from the Lone Ranger playset. Okay? I'll set that to be my theme. And we'll pick that up, put it back. And want to get over to this piece, and we're going to drop another one down next to it. Now, all of the other terrain in this toy box, we're going to use the theme, the grass theme from Sleeping Beauty. So for that, that's the Enchanted Briar Ridge Forest. I'll set that to be my theme. Okay. And for this, we're going to put two more of these down this way. Two more down this way. With a bunch of these in the middle. You might be wondering, why am I making a toy box this huge? It's mainly for the scenery around the arena. Okay? You'll see that as we go along. Okay, so there is our framework for the arena and the toy box around it. Okay, so let's frame in the arena, and to do that, let's pick up this piece here. It's the Dunbrock Castle Stable. I'm going to bring this down this way, and we'll just set this in here for the moment. What I'm really interested in is this piece that was right next to it. We're going to put one on each corner. Make sure it's touching the corner with all 4 blocks around it lit up. Like that. Okay. And then just put in the railing around the perimeter. And that just encloses the arena. And I think it looks a little bit better than the more modern looking fences that they used in 1.0, which were these things. I think that just fits the theme so much better than that. Okay, so there we go with that. Now up under the sports toys, we'll add in some stadium stands. And again, I want the castle background over there. So we'll put in one of these here and one on the opposite side. And then under building sets group 4, reset that drawer on me. I should have put one of these out too ahead of time so that I didn't have to scroll through this list. But I'm looking for this stone base here. And I want to find the one that just has the stone on it, like that. I'm going to put 3 of those down. Spin it around so that you have stone on that end. And do that. Do the same thing on either side. This will be the platform for the kings and nobles and stuff to watch. Okay. And then we'll grab a stadium stand and put another one on the opposite side. And this piece looks a little bit more modern than what you used. But the advantage is, if you want, you can hook up logic to these, have people cheering while you're doing the jousting challenge. So I kind of like that. All right, and then we'll pick this piece up. This kind of goes along with the castle that we're going to put on either end, which is why I kind of like that. So we'll put one on this end, one on this end. I think that looks a little bit better than what we had in the original toy box. And you've got these deep seams under there, but look kind of ugly between those building pieces. So if you come down to the basic blocks, go left to the flat floor pieces, drop one of those in there like that, and we will style this using the castle brick. Set that to be my theme. I kind of like it with the brick that way. Put one of those on each corner back there. And we'll do the same thing over here. Okay, so there we go with that. And then under the decorations drawer, you have this chair, which makes kind of a nice little throne looking thing. So you can place one of those there, one on the opposite side. If you want, you could put some extra seats beside that, or you can use the Fantasyland benches. I kind of like that a little better, so that's what I did in my toy box. I think it fits the theme a little bit better. And if you come pick up one of these, you can grab some flags here. You can add some decorations. Put a different color on the other side. And that's looking pretty nice. Then we'll pick this piece up and put it back to get back to this part of the drawer. And let's put in a nice little royal looking staircase over here. So we'll put one on this side, one on the other side. And we'll do the same thing over here. So that looks pretty good. All right, so there we are. Now, for the railing down the middle, let's go back down to the decorations. No, basic blocks. Scroll over to the basic shapes over here. And what I want to do is try to center this right here on the edge of the thing. And let me grab my screenshot here to make sure I get the spacing right. You want to leave enough room for the railing. With room on either end, so that the player has some place to start. Okay, so what you're going to do is set it up like that. And the only reason this spacer block is up here because I can't set it down there. Alright, so this gives me the position of the very middle of the block, which is going to be centered on here. And this gives me where to start it. Okay? So we'll do the same thing on the other side, just for this part of it. Okay, and then up under the sports toys, this really is the best railing piece you can use. Okay, we'll come out one nudge away from the block and just put a row of these down the middle. There really isn't another railing that looks better here, I don't think, than that one, even though it looks a little modern. Right, then we can take our spacers out. Okay, and there is our jousting arena. So that's pretty nice. And let's put a little tower on either end. So for that, we'll use this piece out of Building Sets Group 6. Place that right up here. Use the ladder piece so they can get up on top of it. We want to make sure we use a piece that has the same width, which is that one. And then put the corner on. Alright, we'll do the same thing over on this side. Oops, not that way. It's just another little place for the player to go. And then I think, nope, it's to the left. There's a floor piece that we can use. And then we'll put a tower on top of it. You can use any tower you want. I chose to use that one. Okay, I like that. Alright, before we build the stables on this end, let's put in the road that goes around the perimeter of this. And for that, we'll come over to our track pieces. I want to grab the medium racetrack. We're going to put it right on the edge of this terrain seam, right here. Kind of centered on that, just like that. And for the theme on this, we're going to use Mickey's Farm. It's a nice rural type theme that fits the toy box, I think. And I set that to be my theme so that all the racetrack pieces will use that theme. And I just kind of like the way this goes around the stadium here. I'll grab this little short piece of track. Actually, we'll use the long. Let's do that. Then we'll put the short one on this end. Followed by the turn. There was kind of a track that went around the original, which is why I did this. But my track looks a little bit different. Okay, and then we'll come down to building, building basic blocks rather. Drop down a little spacer block there. And then we'll put our stadium stables right up next to that. Run a row of those across. Delete our little spacer. And then we'll pick up this little piece of picket fence that we're using. This is out of the decorations drawer. And that'll just kind of fence in the area for the corral for the horses. Okay. And then for the castle on either end, come down to the set pieces. I don't know whether it's faster to go left or right. I guess faster to go left. And we have the memory, so we'll put down the entire castle. Try to center it with the archway and the entrance there centered on the railing. Put it back here, set back off the road a little bit. Then spin it around and drop another one over on this end. Okay, so now you have a castle on either end of the arena. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, at this point I'm going to go offline and add some plants and decorations and things, and it'll take me a little while to do that, but when I'm done I will return and show you what I've got. So let me do that and I'll be back in just a moment. Alright, I am back and I have added in all of the details that I wanted. So let me give you a quick flyover in Spark mode so you can see what I've done, and I'll show you the building pieces that I used and where I placed them. And if you're recreating this toy box on your own system, you can pause this video along the way and copy what I've done. So let's start on this end of the toy box. I added in these plants out of the plants drawer. They're the first 9 pieces, and they're customizable. And again, note the orientation of things like the little sprig and how I've rotated these. And if you don't get these exactly right, that's okay. They're going to get pretty big when we do style them. So if they're not quite the same, that's okay. And of course, if you'd rather use a different theme, feel free to do that, because it's your toy box. You can use a different sky. You can use a different theme. You can do whatever you like. Alright, then along here we got a couple of those planted. And then we put in a little fence. Kind of goes right down this terrain seam here. Just for kind of a field. And you could put some cows or whatever you want in there. And then I got a little building I created over here out of Building Sets Group 4. It's another one of those stone bases, actually two of them, with this little piece in the front, a couple of roof pieces behind it, and these little flowers are out of the plants drawer. Behind that we have some more of these plants, and I threw Rapunzel's tower in here because I thought that could be fun. And I also put this piece in. This is out of the set pieces. It's the Matterhorn. And I added a rail slide here from Platforming Toys, followed by a turn, and then just kind of ran some ramps down to ground level. And I put this little base from Building Sets Group 4 along with the pirate stairs in front of that, so the player can climb up on this and jump on the rail slide and ride the ride. Continuing with the plants, and these just kind of put a nice barrier around the perimeter of the toy box so it doesn't look like the toy box ends abruptly. And because these things get kind of big, it puts a nice barrier behind the bridge over here too. So as you're over here looking that way, kind of looks like the world goes beyond the edge of the toy box. So I like that. This piece here is out of these set pieces. It's the Grandmother Willow Tree. And then this is Merlin's Tower from the Toy Box Takeover playset. Under set pieces is where you find that when you unlock it. Again, if you don't have those pieces, you can use whatever you like. Then I built a little bit of a town over here, using some more of those pieces from the Fantasyland pieces in Building Sets Group 4. Got a chimney on the back side. Some little flower beds I put around it that are out of the plants drawer. Built a little tower here. A little 3-story deal here. So the same stone base with the timber frame base on top of that. And to cover up the door, I put this little wide Fantasyland balcony. Of course, with a chimney. I just added some variety of buildings here. And behind them, we have some additional plants here. And again, if you don't get these in the exact same positions, that's fine. But I know some of you like to duplicate what I've made precisely, so this flyover lets you do that. Okay, and that's pretty much it for those plants around the perimeter. Now over here we added some additional plants around the inside of this. I put the Fantasyland well from Building Sets Group 4 out here. These are the Dunbrock tents. I put a few of those out here. Some additional trees. And there we go. Alright, so when you've got all these in place, to style them, just go select the Briar Ridge theme and do a theme all. And there you go. And that looks pretty good. I like how that looks. Okay, for the last thing we need to do is the jousting challenge itself. And for that I placed 4 Creativitoys. This is all you need to build this challenge. It's very simple. And I also added some mounts out of the mounts drawer. I chose Sven. I chose a couple elephants. You can use Archie the Scare Pig. You can put in whatever mounts here you want to use. Whatever you like. Doesn't really matter. Whatever you think would be fun. And then for the Creativitoys, these are all out of the Creativitoys drawer. We have the Challenge Maker. We have a scoreboard. We have a logic gate. And we have a victory tracker. If you don't have any of these in your Creativitoys drawer, just go to the toy store and purchase them. That'll put them in there. If you're not sure how to use the toy store, I've got a video on my blog that shows you how to do that. It's under Toy Box Tutorials. I think it's episode 102 or somewhere in there. Oh, and then we also added a couple of locators. We got one on this side of the fence with the blue dot on the end facing that way, as you can see. And the other one on the opposite side over here with that little blue dot facing that way. Okay? So to build the challenge, go to the Challenge Maker, do a new locator connection, connect that up to this locator. This will be the start location for player 1. On the Challenge Maker, a new locator connection. Connect that up over here to this locator. That will be the starting position for player number 2. And under the properties, you can leave all of these set to the defaults. You don't have to change anything in here. Okay, before we connect them up, let's configure the scoreboard. And this is really just keeping track of which player wins. Not that we're actually keeping a score, because a single kill will win the game. So we're going to set play to 1. We will leave this off and those on. Okay, so to do the game, it's very easy. First thing we'll do is we'll do a new logic connection on invites accepted. We'll set up the scoreboard, so we need to do a reset. On the Challenge Maker, a new logic connection. When the game is started, come over to the scoreboard and activate it. And if you're wondering, I don't have a logic diagram for this video because this is so easy, so you don't need one. On the Challenge Maker, a new logic connection. On game ended, we want to come over to our scoreboard and deactivate it. And there's one more connection I want to make on game ended. So on the Challenge Maker, new logic connection on game ended. Since I've already made a connection to the scoreboard for that trigger signal, we can't go there directly, so we have to use the logic gate to do that. So we will input into the gate, and then on the logic gate, a new logic connection on output. Come over to the scoreboard and remove display. Okay? Then one last thing on the Challenge Maker, a new logic connection. Not a new logic connection, sorry, a new score results connection. Connect that up to the scoreboard so we can display the victory, the victor at the end. Now the victory tracker will tell us which player won. So on the victory tracker, there's no properties. All you have to do is a new logic connection. When someone defeats a player, when a player defeats a player, and let's say it's player 1, come over to the scoreboard and increment by 1 the score, let's see, for player 1. So when player 1 defeats another player, we're going to increment their score. And when we do that, you'll note it says multiple connections created. So if we come back to our victory tracker, you'll notice there are 4 connections now between this toy and the scoreboard. 1 for each player. Okay? So we don't have to do that for every player. And that's it. That is the logic for this simple little jousting game. And that's all there is to it. And again, you can play this with any toys you want, any vehicles, any mounts, hoverboards, any weapons or packs or tools, or however you want to do this. You've got a little arena here to do it in, along with a challenge to keep track of who won. And so that's it for Medieval Arena. It provides a nice little place for you and your favorite figures to battle it out. And it's also something you can build on if you want to add more games. For example, you could add a horse race that goes around the perimeter of the arena, similar to the one that I built in Mickey's Farm Episode 1 and Toy Box Tutorials Episode 37. And you could even add some obstacles and gates and things to jump over and avoid, swinging pendulums or spikes or whatever you want to make that a fun little race. Another idea is you could make a capture the flag style game by hiding a collectible somewhere in each castle and add some guards to battle with a enemy wave generator. And the first player to infiltrate the other player's castle to make their way down to the other castle and find their collectible would win. So that's a very simple kind of capture the flag style game. Of course, you'd want to put the enemies and the players on the same teams so that when you're leaving your castle, your own men don't attack you. But those are some simple ideas of what you can do to make this toy box a really fun toy box with all kinds of interesting games to play. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please give this video a like and leave a comment to let me know. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already, so you don't miss the next classic toy box. That's all for me today. Have a great weekend.